Well, good morning, Lufkin Central and Online Worship Community. Jason Hollinger, the campus and community minister here. And as we close out our week in Jesus and Coffee, with our Jesus and Coffee morning devotionals, as we mentioned last night and yesterday morning, we are finishing up a discussion through different themes, if you will, through the book of Numbers, and today we're wrapping it up with looking at the theme of promises, or as chapter 30 titles it, vows. And Numbers chapter 30 verses 1 through 2 says, Moses said to the heads of the tribes of Israel, "This is what the Lord commands. When a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word, but must do everything he said." That promise, that vow, that oath. Uh, think of thousands of years later when standing up on the side of a mountain and looking down over a large number of people. Jesus talking about oaths. Jesus talking about promises, talking about vows. You see, so often we think about the promises that God makes with His people, that God makes with us and for us. But it's also important that we stress the value of us in our commitment and our promise and our oath and our vow before God. That that day, that moment, if you're a baptized believer, it says that pledge of a good conscience that you make when, as I have asked many, and many have been asked, including myself, that before I've gone down into the waters of baptism, do you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? He came and lived and died and rose again on the third day for you, and you make that declaration, that statement. Yes. Well, we live in response to that statement. We live out of the overflow of this statement, and what this statement means and the power that is behind it. And just when we say our vow before God, yes, I believe. Yes, I trust in you, God. Yes, I believe that you are the one true God, the true and living God, the just God. There is this expectation that we have that God is a promise making and a promise keeping God. Well, the desire that God has for us is that we would be a promise making and a promise keeping people. But here's the great news. A little bit of spoiler alert if you're not aware. When we do stumble and fall, the ultimate promise that was made for us, for that moment that God set out to redeem, reclaim, and restore lost humanity, that moment at the cross, and that moment when some women went to a tomb with all the items needed to honor a life that was lived and a life that was given. You see, that promise showed itself to be taken to an entirely new level when the tomb was found empty. So as we serve the promise making and the promise keeping God, let us set out to be promise makers and promise keepers. But make no mistake, when we stumble and fall, when we slip up, we're going to make it. Why? Because of the promise made and the promise kept from the Savior. So my challenge to you today is, in spite of all that may go well, and in spite of all that may seem to go wrong, through it all, be thankful for the promise that was given, the promise that was made, the promise that was kept, and the promise that was fulfilled. How are you going to live in response to that? Can't wait to hear and see how it goes. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Jesus, all I want is you. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you. Nothing